got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here and Jack Canal. All the lights are currently lit here on track. And it is go, go, go! Donoso with a crafty maneuver up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Good on countdown, Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Foreman.
Jano Opmeer is your champion.
and gentlemen, welcome back to PSGL Season 37 here at PCF3. It is round 8. It is Mexico at the Autodrome Hermanos Rodriguez. And we are here to continue what is a already fantastic season of Formula 3. But do not adjust your TV sets. Of course, the man to my right or left, depending on which way you're looking at it, is not TK. It is not Mackie. It's the magnificent Corey Brooks. Corey, how you doing, mate?
Very good, mate. Excited to be here and in Formula 3, the F3 tier. Something I'm not particularly familiar with. I'm going to lie. Well, I can't lie. I haven't seen any of the races either, so this is certainly a lineup of drivers that I'm very excited to see get on the track and show what they can do here in Mexico. Such a beautiful track. And of course, with it being 4.3 kilometers long, it's also quite a short track. But that main straight going down to turn 1 is quite long, so I should see some excessive speeds and certainly a lot of overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, we certainly will. And of course, we have a pretty much full grid. 19 out of 20 drivers. I believe one driver is running late. So we will have a full grid come the start of the Grand Prix. But I am very much looking forward to this. We're already almost getting straight in to what is a short qualifying session. Of course, if you're here joining us for the first time for Formula 3, welcome. And welcome to PSGL as well. Short qualifying will be taking place over 18 minutes, and obviously the man with the fastest time, man or woman with the fastest time at the end of qualifying, will start on pole position, as Will Buxton once said beautifully.
Absolutely, but you want to get that pole position, you want to certainly get to the front of the field and try and bridge that gap on the race start, get the best race start that you possibly can and set yourself up and use that strategy to perfection to take a victory. It is round 8, still a couple more races to go, so at the minute the championship fight could go up to anybody. It all depends on how you can do it on the track, but we are now heading into qualifying, so don't let us keep you for too long. We'll head over there right now.
Right now, and it's a very sunny day here in Mexico. No clouds in the sky whatsoever, which is always good to see. Everyone coming down the pit lane. Now, of course, a couple of bits of admin, as always, here for F3. As you notice, coming out of the pit lane, we are unfortunately still running the F1 World Cup. Nothing we can do about it. That is the rules that we are set by the higher-ups. Of course, we'd love to see the real liveries out on track, but we are dealing with F1 World Cars at the moment. And of course, also we have the cars ghosting. Now, of course, in qualifying, we have the cars set to no collisions because Slipstream is still very powerful. I'm sure you've seen it, Corey, yourself. How powerful Slipstream is in this game.
So powerful, and on the straight here in Mexico, that long straight, you could even see drivers taking double overtakes here, getting that double dose of DRS in a way. You pick it up from the car in front, you've got your rear wing open yourself, you just gain all that extra overspeed, all that momentum, and propel yourself forward ahead of 2, maybe even 3 cars, depending how the battle's going down that straight. It could be anybody's game out here, absolutely open for anybody's taking.
Really is. And Thomas Laminen is the man that will be starting the qualifying off. He will be the first one to get underway with a flying lap. And I'm just thinking, Corey, your first time here in F3. I'm here all the time. Would you like to take us through a lap around Mexico City?
Absolutely, I would indeed. You just see Thomas there hitting that bollard out of the way, clearing an obstruction for the rest of qualifying. Lovely to see what comes down. Now gets across the line very, very quickly coming out of the final turn of turn 17. 17 corners making up this, but that rear wing is open. Absolutely flat to the floor. You can only imagine the speed you get with the absolute straight speed, with the length of that straight. Slams on the brakes, fires it round into turn 1, but needs to be gentle now, coasting it ever so slightly, coming round turn 2 and 3. Sort of a treacherous couple of corners as you open up into sector 1, but the rear wing is open once again, finishing it off and fires around into turn 4 now. The triangle section in a way, you come round to the left, back around to the right, nice and easy, coming around what you could class as the hairpin of Mexico City, but so far he's looking very clean and very tidy, trying to maximize the track limits as well, really gain on those entry and exits. You can see here with the onboard looking to cut those corners and keep the car as straight as possible, finishing off that second sector. So far it's a very, very clean lap, but has to get the rotation in now to the right hand side, coming through the final sector. Again, sector 3, a corner with a lot of corners that can really catch you out, but finishing off the final 2 turns now, goes into the pits, does not want to finish that lap. He's not happy with that one, that's a fact, but we're on board with Sixton, who crosses the line for a 13 flat.
13 flats for sixth. And interesting that Lamanen didn't finish that. We'll go back to that in a minute. Keanu goes onto provisional pole there with a 12.8. Thomas Baldwin lines up into third. We'll keep an eye on our championship rivals. Now, I did mention this. We unfortunately do not have a championship graphic. TK took that with him when he went on holiday. But what we do have is, I can remember from the last race, we go into this race with a 2-point gap between our leaders. Our leaders, of course, being Rihard Sprogis, currently in 19th place. And I believe, is he even on the grid today? I can't see.
He is. He's P4 at the minute.
EP4.
Yes,
No,
in
right,
qualifying.
sorry, as his
He's
teammate.
P5 now.
Couldn't see the other man championship rival, Angelo Angelo.
Angelo Di Hortensio, not is a championship contender, but choosing to sit out round 8 here in Mexico City. That's quite unfortunate. Could potentially lose out on some much needed points if Rehards can grab that win on fastest laps. It's quite a margin to add and bridge that gap. But again, anything can happen here in Mexico. You've got to watch this second sector. These S's can really catch you out, especially if you pick up too much curb.
And it's interesting that we obviously go back to it. Thomas Lamanen didn't finish his qualifying lap. Is it just because, you know, sometimes people want a banker lap down, but did you think he just didn't even want the banker lap? He just wasn't happy with it at all?
It depends. You saw a lot of the cars back off as he bridged a gap coming through the final couple of turns for start his banker. Maybe just didn't get that tyre temp that he wanted. A lot of the other drivers were backing off coming through the final part onto that last DRS straight coming into sector 3, and they were weaving ever so slightly, generating all the temps they can. Temperature is king here. You need to get the compound fired up. It's vital, especially around a track with these fast-flowing, twisty corners into Sector 2. You just need that grip. You need the traction to lay it down and get ahead.
Yeah, you certainly do. And of course, the other thing we should mention, of course, with these F1 World Cars, is people do not know who their teammate is in the pit boxes. It's very much a guessing game. Drivers will be trying to work together the best they can to figure out who's who, but it's always a bit of a guessing game. That it certainly is. And just having a look at the times now, you can see how incredibly close the gaps are. Keanu on provisional pole right now with a 12.8, but then behind Yelp Korsman with a 12.9. You were very excited to see the Korsman brothers in the in F3.
I'm absolutely excited. I know the Korsman name. I've seen these compete in a few races, but the brothers on track, are they going to fight against each other? This is what I'm here to see. A brother rivalry. I don't know if that would happen. Maybe they could be working together in a way or not. They are not on the same team, so certainly they'll be competing against each other, but it's all for me to speculate over. I want to see them on the track. I want to see them go wheel to wheel, and which brother has the better experience. But we are on board with Tomas Lamanen, who's going to set his first timed lap. He backed out of his first lap. We were on board, but he's coming around turn 5 now, trying to keep it on the track there, maximising the exit, the track limits, pushing it wide. He's where the time is. You must keep it within the lines, but also maximise it for the extra rotation. Get that angle perfect. We're coming through into Sector 2 now, the infamous S's of Mexico that I'd like to call them. Gets the rear wing open and powers down into Sector 3. Needs to slam on the brakes again. You see him maximising those track limits, trying to get that entry, trying to get that angle and rotation, and now we come through a couple of corners that can really catch you out and ruin your lap or even ruin your race. A bit of slide though, locking that rear, would gain the extra rotation but probably can't get the traction down as well as he'd hope. Jumps up into P8. 13.1, so gets that timed lap on the board, but he's only down into 8th position. It's just the fine margins that matter. It's all about the fine margins, especially with drivers of this caliber. Look at the qualifying. They're all just within a couple of tenths of each other. Some drivers, they're from P8 down to P12. 4 drivers just within a tenth of each other. So gaining that extra hundredth, that extra thousandths matters. It is vital, especially around such a short lap like Mexico.
And less than a second separates top 19 as well. 7 tenths in the top 19, which is absolutely mental. You never see that in regular motorsport nowadays. This is why sim racing is so good. This is why PSGL is the premium brand for that. This is what we love to see. And Riyad Sprogos currently sitting in P5. Now, if his teammate isn't here, which by my looking, I've just done a quick research into to Angelo, and he's online on Steam, but he's not playing the game. So unless he's using a different account, which I assume we would have been told about, Rihard has a real good chance of gaining some points back on his championship rival.
does indeed. He can certainly gain it back and prevent his championship rival from pulling away in any way, shape or form and making it a bit of a dominant display as you get into the final closing rounds. But so far, the qualifying boards are lighting up as drivers are setting new and improved times and trying to get us on board with somebody. Running the F1 World Cars makes it very difficult to figure out who is who, but I'm trying my best. We're currently on board with Danielle Farinelli. Oh, I butchered that one. I'll call you Daniel from there. But here we go, crosses the line, does not improve. Drivers are struggling here to get that lap together. Seem to be not getting the power down in the way they want. Maybe the track evolution's not working to their advantage. Cooking those tyres a little bit too much, picking up a bit of slide. I've seen a few drivers level on their times, but Marcel, though, is on a 13.1 exactly, so that's interesting. Larry Toolkey's up into P3, just behind Jacques Klausman, so gets himself up into a good position to fight on. So now we have 4 drivers into the 1 minute 12s. Everybody else trying to push for that time.
Yeah, and right now Keanu cannot be touched on that provisional pole. It's a very good banker lap he set down with that 112.8. Is Larry going for another lap? I think they're coming into the pits. I'm not sure if they're on an in-lap or they're on a... No, they're on an in-lap. They're coming into the pits. Ryan Grob on the same in-lap, just trying to keep an eye on what everyone is doing. A couple of people are out of sync as well, which is obviously causing us even more problems, because not everyone's doing the same lap at the same time. Sixten Linhart, on the other hand, is on an out-lap, so we'll keep an eye on where he will be jumping up to in the near future, as I think everyone is coming into their pits after completing their last flying lap.
So now we have 8 minutes remaining. Certainly enough time to get 2 more laps in, but that's if you want to use those tyres. You can use those tyres to your advantage. We have that mandatory lobby restart to get those collisions turned back on. As you mentioned earlier on at the start of the stream, they're off to get rid of that nasty slipstream advantage. It's just so beneficial for the drivers to gain tenths using the extra slipstream, picking up that overspeed, but in the race it becomes a game of strategy where you pick up the slipstream and use it to get past your rival ahead of you. But now we're currently on board with Sixten Linhart, just about to finish third sector and set another flying lap. Certainly has the time to do another lap after this one if there's any mistakes, any issues that he may pick up and cause.
So he's getting underway now with his flying laps. He runs down the main straight. Now, is this one of those situations where, you know, obviously we're in a qualifying session and now Keanu, of course, has pole position, but is, say, Larry in the best position in third because we know how long this straight is. And a lot of the times, people that set pole position in Mexico don't tend to lead into the first corner.
No, absolutely. They can set pole, but it all depends on the drivers behind. You say the straight being so long, of course. Picking up that slipstream, you can certainly use it to get past pole position. Will not benefit from that slipstream and will be certainly a sitting duck open to attack. Anything can happen down into turn 1. I could even see it 3 wide going into turn 1 on lap 1. We hope to see it. We love to see the spicy battles, the nice action, drivers going wheel to wheel trying to one-up against their opponents. But it's all for speculation for me, as I do not know what to expect going into Mexico. It's anybody's game for me. I can't put a name down on it yet at all. I couldn't say that somebody is going to jump ahead and be super impressive. All we can just do is wait and see what happens on lap 1. But now Sixten was almost 2 tenths up there coming out of second sector, but now comes to power towards the line, finishing turn 17, keeping it tight and jumps to P3. So there, another driver in the 1 minute 12s. Everybody else looking to push on to get that time.
It's a lovely lap there from Sixten Linhart. And also, just want to give you a quick update. The man in the box, TK, has just sent me a message saying that Angelo was promoted to F2, and that's why he's not here. So
crazy stuff.
And apparently, the standings are in the standings channel for F3. Let me have a quick look. I'll find out for you what the standings are looking like for F3. Where's the most recent standings? That's Saudi Arabia, which was the last race. Okay, so with Angelo now being promoted up to F3, it leaves Richard Sprogis leading the title race on 52 points from the next closest competitor, which is Sixten Linhart, who is on, if I can work it out, I think he is on, he's on 45 points. So not a lot in it between the two drivers.
No, it's very close. Seems to be Rehard's for the taking, but the qualifying so far is only good enough for P6. He has got into the 1 minute 12s, but not the improvement that he would have wanted. You see Lola Vera there go up into P12 after getting a huge improvement, dropping almost half a second there, which is much needed. But again, the fine margins are what matter. You can see the times now closing up dramatically. Everybody's getting very close together.
Yeah, they certainly are. And Rihard's down in, well, now down in 9th place. As I was about to say, he was down in 8th, but he's just fallen down to 9th. Now, his two main championship rivals this season, Ben Marples and Angelo, both been promoted to Formula 2. He is once again in prime position to win this championship, leading it ahead of Sixten Lindhardt, who has now found himself in a title fight. We thought last weekend he was out of it because of the gaps between Angelo and his teammate, but because Rihard did a bad result last time out, finished 11th. Lindhardt being in 5th, he's got a real chance of getting points. And of course, you get points for taking pole position here in PSGL.
Absolutely, you do pick up that extra point when it's needed. You need to get yourself up there into contention, especially with the championship being so close, getting yourself back into the fight. Rehard's is not having a good qualifying. It's all down for Lindhardt now to try and gain those extra points and push on to potentially catch up and potentially pass, if not take Drivers' Championship. Still a couple rounds to go, but here on round 8, it's looking a little more one-sided towards Lindhardt today, especially in this Grand Prix.
Certainly is. So 52 points, just to remind you, is what Rehard's Progress is currently sitting on, to the 45 that Rehard's Progress, that Sixten Lindhardt is on. I will get those round right away, I promise. It will happen at some point. But I've got 3 minutes left in this session. I'm going to ask for a prediction here, Corey. What's your prediction for pole?
Oh, for Paul, well, see, Keanu's looking very, very comfortable up on that top step. Still a time to beat if anybody can do it, but Marcel is only half a tenth away, so that's certainly within grabbing distance for Marcel, if not even Jolt Korsman. Could he potentially get into the mix, do anything about it to push on? But again, Gabriel Quintino just lurking behind Jolt Korsman. It's a four-way battle here for Paul. If at best, just a tenth is all it takes to take that pole position from anybody from the top 4. If Keanu can extend it a little bit more, find that extra time in any of the corners, it's certainly Keanu's for the taking. I'm going to go out on a whim here and just say Gabriel Quintino for pole position. I've seen what this driver can do in previous races, so let's see what happens today.
See what happens today, indeed. I think Lindhardt's going for his final lap of qualifying here. If he wants a chance at a late title charge, which is now on the cards because of the move up of Angelo, he can go for it now. So he needs that pole position, especially with Rehard's currently floundering down in 11th place. But he was saying in chat a minute ago that he does not feel confident around this circuit. So maybe this is where we expect him to see this weekend. So 2 bad results in a row. Can he handle it for his title fight? We're going to find out. So Lindhardt's got a bit of traffic to contend with, but luckily, because of ghosting, doesn't have to worry about people getting out of the way.
Absolutely not. That ghosting certainly playing beneficial for a lot of the drivers. I wonder who would be potentially in the mix to try and take that pole. This is what I'm interested in, but we're on board with Sixten Lindhardt now. What can Lindhardt do? Is it on a lap? Well, the battery is deployed, so certainly looks like it's on a lap as we're coming through the infamous Mexa Core S's. Certainly corners that can catch you out. You're trying to keep it flat to the floor and trust that the car is going to do what you tell it to do. Trust that it's going to turn. Trust that it's going to be able to attack those corners. But now it's still on board. He's not currently up on the time, just sort of balancing. And Dave does back out of it. I see that, trying to recharge the battery, potentially backing out, trying to make it to the line for another lap. Go straight through. I think that was Ryan Grob in the gold car. Pushing on towards the line.
Oh, it doesn't improve. He just matches. He's basically matched his best time.
As
and that's
indeed.
the best thing Lindhardt could do.
Oh, Keanu Leotard, though, looking to extend that pole position, coming up to the Mexico City S's. Maximising the track limits there on the entry. It's lovely to see. You need to use those track limits to your advantage. That is where the time is. That is where the advantage is. Every hundredth, every thousandth of a second is going to matter, especially with qualifying being this close. It's only a 12.8 for pole position, and a lot of drivers now all the way down to P12 are in that 12 1:12 time. So it's anybody's for the taking. It doesn't look like Keanu's going to improve. Big snap and a slide, sending himself into the pits there at the final turn. That is it for Keanu Leotard. Cannot do anything more from there.
So it's down for the people behind. Marcel, Yelp, Gabriel Quinton. Zach Miles jumps himself up onto the front row, but he misses out on pole by a few hundredths of a second. But Larry's taken pole position. Provisional pole is his, a 12.7, and he jumps up onto provisional pole. What a lap that was.
Rihad Sprogis up into P6 once again.
Oh,
Sigma
and
into
Linhart down at
P3.
11th.
Things are getting interesting here. Drivers crossing the line, finishing the times the best they can do. Who can challenge for pole? Is there anybody who can challenge for pole? Gabriel Quintino, don't let me down. Invalid! No! Such unfortunate. Cuba up into P2.
Oh.
Marcel just P4. It's the fine margins. Look how close it is. 7 drivers in a 12.8. We're just shy of the pole position time, but it's Larry who can take it with a 12.7. Just breaking into the 7s by 2,000ths of a second. You love to see it. Qualifying being so close. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's the fine margins.
Korsman jumped up to 4th on that final lap, by the way. T.S. Korsman managed to put himself up into 4th, which means at the end of qualifying, Larry takes pole position for the Mexican Grand Prix by, what is that, 10,000ths of a second? I think it's
10,000ths, a 100th of a second. Insane.
So Kuba in second, followed by Keanu, which rounds out the top 3. And then we've got T.S. Korsman, and then we've got Marcel, Sigma, Zach Miles, Rihard Sprogis recovered to 8, Yelp Korsman in 9th, and Gabriel Quinton rounds out the top 10. Then Ryan Grob, Thomas Lamon, and Giovanni Lanzoni, Danielle Sixton Linhart falls down to 15th, Boober in 16th, Thomas Baldwin in 17th, Lola in 18th, Daniel in 19th, and Race, who didn't get a lap in, qualified in 20th place. But there is a 10th between the top 13. There is 2 tenths between the top 19.
My, it's so close indeed. Those 2 tenths, when you think about it, are nothing. Absolutely nothing. So close, so fine. It's just maybe 1 or 2 corners with an extra bit of braking with that extra quicker, and you gain that advantage, you gain that time. We are now back into the commentator's corner while we await the lobby restart. You know, we need to get the collisions back on, we need to get everybody set back up in the grid order correctly, and then we push on for what will be around about 26 laps of Mexico City. So this is certainly interesting. I'm loving to see this.
This is also Larry's first pole of the season.
Oh, that's lovely stuff. First pole position, getting those extra points. Every driver loves to take the top spot, but as we mentioned earlier, open to attack going down into turn 1 straight away off the race start because of that slipstream advantage.
And I mean, just having a look at the rest of the standings quickly here. Just having a look at where everyone else is. Daniel, I don't know where Daniel qualified, but he was on 37 points, so he's not too far away. I think Daniel's starting a bit further down the grid. And there's a couple of other drivers that can still perform in this, but it's a fantastic lap from Larry. Larry this season has not managed to actually score a point yet this season.
Wow.
So not only will it be his first point of the season, but it will also be a first pole position of the year, meaning there is a real chance that they can come away with at least a top 3 finish. Mexico must be their hunting ground.
Absolutely, must feel more confident around these fast-flowing corners. Some of them tight, some of them fast, some of them you just need to nail to perfection. But for Larry, he could nail that lap absolutely. Broke the 12.7s. Every driver trying to do it. You saw a lot of drivers there just within the 0.8. It was so close together. Just a 10th, like you said, down to P13, and then 2 tenths separating the entire grid. Apart from Reyes Matias, who couldn't get that lap in, came in a little bit late, but that does complete the grid. So all 20 drivers showing up here for Mexico, looking to press on and what could potentially be their time to shine, their day to take that top spot. Who could it be? In all honesty, with Larry's pace there, I can see Larry taking victory. He just needs to play it smart, play it safe, and not do anything stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see them convert their first pole into first victory. That would be fantastic indeed. But obviously, we know sometimes motorsport doesn't like fairy tale stories. But maybe today it will like one. But I don't know if we do, Corey, while we're waiting. I think we've got to show an ad from our lovely partners over at GT Omega.
We do indeed. So, bear with us on this while you hear a quick word from our sponsors. It can't hear us.
Very
Oh,
nice.
wait. Oh, no. I was. Apologies for that little delay with the advertisement. Bit of a studio mode issue there, but I've got the ad shown, so we should be all nice and bonny there. We now await for the lobby restart to come and go so we can get everybody lined back up on the grid. But so far, it's looking mighty fine. I don't know if Rehad's in the better position here compared to Lindhart. I don't know what you think about that, Alex. What do you think is going to happen there with that championship fight?
I think the thing is what I think the issue with when obviously Linhart is further back. Again, another poor qualifying for Linhart. It seems to be a something that he needs to be working on this season. It's just not been able to pull it off so much. But I guess the worry is for our championship leader, Rihad Sproggets, is he's in the middle of the pack. He's in what, P9, P8?
Yeah, he's
So I
round
mean,
about that area.
if there is any, we know there's incidents down into turn one. We've seen it every time in every shape or form into Mexico's turn one. So he's just got to keep himself clean, make sure he comes out there with a front wing and four tires still attached, and he's got a chance for a good result. But I think with Linhart, the interesting thing that I would be doing if I was in his position, got to try something different because you're further back down the grid. Maybe try a different strategy. Go for something a little bit different. Something we should also add, Corey, is obviously in our restart we saw what the weather was going to be like, but it's random weather once again.
Absolutely. So, with it being switched to dynamic weather, the weather could go any way, shape, or form. With it being Mexico, we can only hope that it stays dry, known for its quite warm temperatures there. But anything could happen here. It has been known to get a bit wet around this time of year, around that area. So, we can only hope that it stays dry for everybody and they can push on for victory. I was wrong earlier. It's not 26 laps, it's 36 laps. So, there's 36 laps of hard racing here around Mexico City. Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, a lovely track and a nice little name to it if you can piece it together. A little bit of a ring to it. 17 turns to navigate, but again, it's such a small track in a way. Although that pit straight super long opens up plenty of opportunities. It is still a very small track, so the lap times vary in just over a minute and 15, I'd say, every lap until we start to burn that fuel away, start to make those cars a little bit lighter, and they can go that extra margin a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and I mean it's going to be physically demanding as well. Obviously, I know we're in sim racing. I know it's not feel like real life, but this is a tough circuit. It is very full on. Pretty much the only break you really get is down that long straight, and even then, a lot of defending has to happen because obviously, as we mentioned in the qualifying session, slipstream DRS is king in this year's game. It's been king for many games, but in this year specifically, it is very very powerful. So I expect to see a lot of overtakes going down into turn one.
Absolutely, certainly going to be the hot spot, the driver favourite for manoeuvres, but it also certainly sets up the open door for strategies. Can a driver defend for the entirety of the remainder of the lap? There's still two more DRS sections to go after you get into turn one of them being straight after turn three. So you could be under attack straight away if you get past the driver into turn one, you come around turn two and three. If they get an optimal line, they get the racing line down to perfection, steam right up to that rear diffuser, they're open again for another attack in turn four. So again, it's going to be all over the show if drivers can just nail it and get it right and certainly attack those corners the way they want to and the way they need to.
Totally agree, my good friend. We've only known each other for about an hour, but I consider you a good friend already.
Oh, lovely
Um,
stuff.
So we're going to get into this race shortly. I don't know exactly what we're waiting for. I think everyone is in the lobby, so I'm just waiting on the go ahead. As I say that, see, look, classic British person. You complain about something and it gets underway. We're about to get started with our race here. 36 laps around the Mexico Autodrome Hernandez something. I said that in the wrong order, but it's okay. That's why you come to F3 for this for the jokes. It's all good. But we're actually going to get some banging racing a title fight that isn't as close as it was going into the end of Saudi Arabia due to drivers' moves up. But I can tell you, we have still got a fight on our hands for all positions. Riyadh Sproggins is not going to have it easy towards the end of the season, and sometimes he's his worst enemy. So let's find out what happens. We're about to get underway for the Mexican Grand Prix.
Absolutely, very excited to get this going. We are now almost heading to the track. I'll give us a couple more seconds so we can get into the official lobby. Nobody wants to see it a loading screen, but I'm
No,
certainly excited for these 36 laps. Certainly excited to see what the drivers can do here in F3. Some names I do recognise, drivers I have seen before, so I have a little bit of a level of expectation for what they can do. But the drivers that I don't know, for example, are the ones that are certainly going to be surprising. For example, Larry getting onto the top spot. I have seen Larry Tulke race before, but never have I seen the pole position come from that driver. So that was certainly interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cracking lap from him. Last lap of qualifying as well for him, so all the pressure on. But he was looking strong before that, even before he set that pole position time. He was around the P4, P3 margin, so he would have been up there on the front row. Let's see if he can stay dry, see if it can stay for him. And he's a very... Not as sunny as qualifying was. There's a couple of clouds in the sky, but it certainly is not raining, which I'm sure Larry will be blessing his stars that it's not raining.
I certainly would. Nice to see a lovely dry race. It's all about the race start now. Can you push off the line in the way that you need to? You need to get on the power as fast as possible, get yourself set up, maybe even burn some of that battery to defend what could be an absolute onslaught of slipstreaming cars diving for that inside line. Being such a long straight from the starting line, you are certainly open to attack down into turn one, if not get past before it. All depends on who can dive into that slipstream and pick up the overspeed. Keep that momentum going.
Certainly will. So we are awaiting our 5 red lights to get us underway. I believe there is no formation lap. The formation lap is still not on, if I am not mistaken. So we will be just getting underway when we see those lights appearing. And here they come. The 5 red lights are coming on here for round 8 here at Mexico City. It's lights out and we're underway. And it's a good start from our pole sitter as we race down towards turn 1. Lari under pressure already, but covers off the inside line. He's had a monster of a start, and he's ahead of Kuba. Keanu trying to cover him behind us. Here we go into the braking zone of turn 1. Who can make it through the first corner? And it looks like everyone is making it through nice and clean at the moment. There's a 3-wide moment between T.S. Korsman and a couple of people have been knocked out there. A couple of people on the runoff area. We're still 3 wide here as we run down towards turn 4 into the braking point. It's still 3 wide in behind. This is madness between Zach Miles. I can't exactly see it. I think it's Sigma. There's people running off the road. There's people ghosting through the middle. It's chaos here at the start of the Mexican Grand Prix.
Absolute scenes here, straight off the line. You saw them 3 wide for 3 corners. You love to see the battles play out before your very eyes. All that fighting though, all it's done is let the front four pull away by 1.3 seconds. So they are currently pushed outside of that DRS zone. They need to fight like hell to get into it, but not fight with each other. Push the car to its maximum potential. Get back in that DRS. It's certainly going to be your struggles, especially down that pit straight, being one of the longest straights you can see on most circuits, obviously apart from the Kimmel straight in Spa. But all you can see now is cars looking to gain that slipstream. The DRS is now active. We should see them pick it up coming into Sector 2. But as we come around into Turn 1, there's a fight there for P3. T.S. Korsman gets himself past Cuba. Nice and easy. Takes that podium position. So far looking fairly squared away.
It certainly is. And the monster start from Lari there, up in P1 by 1.5 seconds. Really pulled away from the pack. Of course, the pack fighting behind did help him. Someone should mention Daniel. The 2 Daniels battling for 19th and 20th down towards the back of the grid. It's not been a good start from those 2. Linhart staying in 12th place. Riyadh Sproggins, I believe, from what I saw, I think he ghosted through the middle of that like 4-wide fight. So he's jumped himself up into 6th. You've got to take advantage of what you are given. But yeah, right now we're on lap 2 of 36. Lari leads by 1.6 seconds. Ahead of Keanu, who's got T.S. Korsman and Kuba in behind. Now, quick looking at the tyre allocation there, Corey, did you see any surprises? I think that's probably what we all expected, mediums and hards.
Absolutely. Certainly been one of the optimum strategies, using the mediums and the hards for one stop, depending on how the degradation is around these tight, twisty corners. I suspect it will be the one stopper. Some drivers may be going for that two stop, depending on safety cars. I don't want to call it out early, but if that happens, certainly screws up strategies and sends drivers' heads a little bit west while they have to focus on a new game plan. It's almost like a game of chess. You go in with that mentality. You've already got your strategy pre-planned and in your head. All you can try and do is execute that strategy to the best of your knowledge, to the best, deliver the best drive that you can. But it can be damaged because anything can happen in a race. Everybody knows this is racing. This is what happens.
Yep, it's racing. It's definitely not ballet, that's for sure. And it's very much high octane at the moment. We're on lap 3 of 36. I am so impressed by our pole sitter right now. 1.7 seconds up the road. 1.8 now. I mean, this is some pace from our pole sitter.
Well, you could expect it, especially being the quickest man in qualifying, but to set it out in the race itself certainly is magnificent, and you love to see drivers being able to push to the maximum of their potential. The gap is getting bigger and bigger every lap. A couple of hundredths jump up, a couple of thousandths jump up, but now we see a nice and easy pass for Tias Korsman getting past Keanu Leotard. Very easy before we even get to turn one. So that just shows you how powerful the DRS is, with a mix of ERS and of course that slipstream sending you and propelling you past your rival if they do not have that defensive tool. It can be a weapon for attack. It can also be used for defence, so you need to get it every chance you can. It's Tias Korsman now who's going to be under pressure as we get through and get onto the third DRS zone even.
And Gabriel Quinton battling with Thomas Lammen and Ryan Grob here. Thomas Lammen going to go round the outside into the S section. He's run off a little bit of road there. Oh, and there's almost a massive accident. And it looks like Zach Miles is taking advantage as he's trying to squeeze his way through, as people are running all across the road in the mid-pack. Sixton Linhart now going around the outside. And Gabriel Quinton, who started in ninth at the start of that engagement, has ended in 13th.
Oh, losing out massive positions there for Gabriel. There's a bit of contact there between Laminum and Thomas Boldra. Boldra looking to get in this fight, but it's Zach Miles who got past them nice and easy and now presses on to try and catch up to Ryan Grob. But could Thomas Lomanen be under attack here? We see there a change for P2 once again. It's very easy with the DRS. But right now, all eyes are on Thomas Boldra, who looks to send it to the inside of Lomanen. Does send it side by side, keeping that inside line. There's no switches to the outside. And once again switches to the inside line and gets the move done on the exit of turn 3. Good, clean, controlled driving there from both drivers, but Thomas Laminen is not going to let that go easy. Looking to put the press on, but just can't get it side by side, can't get the angle that he wants to, or the traction down to get past. Thomas Boldra is the one leading there, just outside of the points positions, but does pick up a point.
It is such a tricky place to overtake during this middle sector. We saw what happens if you try and go wheel to wheel through this middle sector, and it is just one of the hardest things in motorsport to do. Now that gap at the front has closed down here, Corey, and that is because Keanu and Tias Korsman are basically slingshotting off of each other with DRS into the first corner, which is dragging them closer to Lari, and Lari's going to be in a lot of trouble soon. Yep, Korsman getting the first 3-second time penalty of, I'm sure, many we're going to see during this race.
Of course, you got to try and maximise your track limits to try and get the speed and to keep up with the rivals ahead, but you can also just run it that little bit too wide. Drivers pushing to the maximum of their ability. It's very easy to do. You just snag that little bit of understeer. You maybe entered with a little bit too much speed, and certainly as the tyres wear out, that will be the case. Track limit violations inbound, but we can only hope that the drivers can keep it together, keep themselves within those white lines, and the positions you may gain from other drivers getting that infringement could be massive in the long game. Everybody from P2 all the way, from P2 to P7 we have a DRS train, then P8 down to the back of the grid is another DRS train. So certainly a lot of positions to be gained yet, but Ryan Grob, with that huge gap to Marcel, is going to be the one under attack and under pressure from the drivers behind. They're all within the DRS. They have that to their advantage. Again, it's a weapon to use or a defensive tool to help you.
I wonder if this battle, this obviously like 5-wide battle that we watched, is the reason why this massive gap has been caused by Ryan Grob and Marcel off between 8th and 7th, which is what I imagine has happened. Now up front though, unfortunately our pole sitter has been caught by the cars behind, and you just expect that with the amount of, well, the amount the DRS can be used. But Marcel going to go down the inside here of Richard Sprogis. The championship leader is under pressure here in 6th place. And is it going to be Marcel who's going to make that move stick on our championship leader? No, just pulling away there. But to be fair for Richard, he's sitting in a good position right now, 6th place. His main championship rival down in 12th. Not really a lot to worry about right now for him.
Absolutely not. You're going to gain some valuable, much-needed points, and knowing that your rival isn't going to score any certainly brings you a little bit of relief, but we still have 29 laps to go. There's so much action yet to unfold. The strategies haven't even been implemented yet. Drivers could potentially go for that undercut. Of course, having the fresher tyres with all these corners will gain you a massive time advantage, a huge time advantage with that undercut. It could be monumental and could be the strategy to go for, but at the end of the race, depending on how much of an undercut you want to get, your tyres burning away, the tyre life, you won't have it. Your rival just might have it to pull ahead in the closing laps.
You might see a change for the lead here. Lari on lap 8 is under pressure. Sixten Linhart has made that move on Thomas Laminen in P11, and Ryan Grob is into the pits. We'll keep an eye on that in a minute, but here we go. Down the main straight is Keanu, close enough for a move. No, he is not. Stays behind once again, and now is this just the case of follow the leader and do what he doesn't, or do what he does?
Could be potentially, like we mentioned, the strategies, it could be the one to go for, but using that DRS, you can really recharge the battery and not lose out to the front runner. But if you are trying to regenerate that all vital and precious energy that you will need, it certainly sets you open for attack from drivers behind. They could have preserved it a little bit better than you, could have that to their advantage, certainly have it to their disposal and push on to get past in some of the DRS zones. It's all down to the game plan here now. The drivers are going to start to back off a little bit, maybe enter a tyre preservation mode and watch what they can do for the closing laps.
And the interesting thing here with this top 7, of course, the top 7, all on medium tyres, bar Kuba and Richard Sprogis, obviously 6th and 4th respectively. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do in terms of strategy decisions. Ryan Grob pitted from P8 onto a brand new set of hard tyres. Is that what we like to call the undercut?
That could potentially be the undercut, but still over 27 laps to go. It's certainly a margin, certainly a huge, huge risk. So could it play off in the end, the harder tyres being the ones that you can extend? Maybe push to the absolute extremes. Maybe they just last forever. Every driver wants the tyres to last forever. They want that grip and that tyre life to push on towards the end of the race. If they could have it their way, they would not box at all. But the tyres will just not last that long, and as per regulation, you must change that compound. It's all about the mind games. It's that long game of chess. You've got to have that mentality. You need to know your strategy and what you're going to do to perfection. Ryan Grob, though, certainly taking that risk. Maybe the medium tyres were burning out a little bit quicker than Grob expected. So now we'll go for that long stint and potentially box once again. Could this be a two-stopper here for Ryan Grob?
Well, it'd be very interesting if it was. Now, of course, during that conversation, we had a change to the lead. Lari has fallen down to 2nd place and is already under pressure. But all the leaders off into the pits here, and it is Richard, sorry, not Richard, not Marcel, Keanu and Lari both into the pits there, and they are swapping onto the hard tyres. So maybe that is what the hards can do, as we've got a 3-wide battle going into turn 1. Richard Sprogis, is he going to make 2 moves in one corner? He sends it round the outside line turns to the inside line, and he makes the lead stick, and he's up into P1. But now Tias Korsman, will he have an opportunity to make the move on Richard Sprogis as well, as he gets past Sigma into turn 1, who does also get passed by Kuba down into 4th now. Wow, that was a massive chain of events. But Richard Sprogis, our championship leader, now leads the Mexican Grand Prix.
Absolutely perfectly done there for Richard Sprogis. Certainly just played the patient game and waited for the open door, waited for the opportunity to pounce and attack the rivals ahead, and certainly did that to perfection. Held that line, making it side by side through 3 corners and ultimately pulling ahead. But Tias Korsman making the most of the battling, certainly taking the opportunistic move. The door was opened and took it. Had a bit of a slide there coming into turn 13, but collected well, but slowed down that pack. Now dives into the pits with Sigma, so certainly the strategy is one to look out for. The boxing very early, unless the hard tyres can last those 25 laps. Sigma picking up a 10-second penalty. I think we just caught that ever so slightly on the stream, braking a little bit too late and almost hit the rear of what was Jelt Korsman, was it? Can't exactly remember. Tias Korsman, sorry. Was Tias Korsman. And, but didn't give Tias the pit lane penalty. Got it for himself.
Well, no, I think he got a penalty for severe collision.
Oh, was that the collision? It was. Hit the rear.
Yeah.
So he wasn't speeding.
Yeah, I think, just having a quick look at the time penalties here. Just trying to grab them up on my screen. Yeah, Sigma has a 10-second time penalty for severe collision with T.S. Korsman going into the pits.
Oh no, we just caught the end of that. We saw the red car locking the tyres and just clipping the back end of Tias Korsman. Certainly not what you want to do. Those 10 seconds are gonna hurt. But in the pit lane, you must be vigilant. You must watch for when you need to brake. You need to be careful as well, because you don't want to pick up that speeding infringement. 10 seconds in this game cycle. Certainly quite the penalty to slap you on the wrist.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive time penalty, and obviously 10 seconds is basically a race killer without any safety cars, so that'll be really interesting to see how that affects the Grand Prix. Are you surprised how little the medium tyres have gone into this stint? Like, that's 11 laps. Most of our guys have done medium tyres. Some of them only did about 8 laps. Larry there, setting the fastest lap of the race with a 15.4. His race is their race is definitely not over just yet, as I think that Keanu passes once again, but I think we're using a bit of DRS swapping that's going on right here.
Absolutely. There's no need to try and not fight and burn away the rubber that they need. They're just going to keep swapping that DRS, like you say, Alex. It's all about the strategy, playing it out now, setting themselves up for the end game. The final closing laps is where it matters, but boxing this early, will it be the two-stopper? My mind keeps telling me this is the two-stop, this is a two-stop. 20 odd laps to go on hard tyres is a huge stint to pull off, certainly a massive stint to pull off. Certainly could be doable, but with the medium tyres, the drivers dispatching of them so soon, maybe they're just not what they need to be. Maybe overheating issues here in Mexico. It is a nice hot sunny day. The temperature, the sun glaring down on that track certainly could burn away the medium tyres. Maybe the hards, obviously they operate at the higher temperature, will be the ones to go on. Maybe they can last that distance. They operate around 100 degrees. So it's open for speculation for anybody, but right now a change for the lead. Cuba and Rehard swapping it round, not fighting too hard. Rehard's letting it go very easily on the hard compound tyre. So again, starting off on what seems to be the optimal tyre. Everybody's trying to get off those mediums early, get the hard slapped on and use them to their advantage.
Yeah, and does that mean that, of course, the guys that are going on to the obviously they'll assume they'll go on to the mediums from the hards. They have to go for quite a long stint as Daniel actually gets in front of Race there. As Giovanni also gets in front of Danielle for 6th place. The interesting thing I have on this stint as well, oh, a lovely move there from Lola up the inside of Danielle. Are they going to go for the move? Are they going to make that move stick? Lola versus Danielle here. Is Danielle going to try and keep it through the S section? No, that would be silly. And Lola makes a lovely move there up into P6. Battling going on between the guys that are just a bit further back from our leaders.
Yeah, a lot of action going on here in the mid-pack. Certainly scrapping for vital points, anything they need. They need to propel themselves up in standings to try and slow down what could be a two-way fight for championship. Or is it all just a fight here in the mid-pack to try and secure that 3rd position in the standings? I'm not too clued up with the standings on this one, but it's all open for Richard Sprogis to extend that lead. Again, swapping that DRS going down into turn 1. Just exchanging, they're not fighting each other as Larry takes another improvement on the fastest lap. Those hard tyres are working to perfection for Larry Tulke.
They certainly are. I do just worry if he's burning them a little bit too much early doors. I mean, I know he's excited. He's got pole. He's clearly got the pace. But is it just a little bit too much early doors?
It could potentially be just a little bit too early for Larry to be pushing the way he is to try and get those positions. But trying to clear out and dispatch of any cars in front to set up for what could be an interesting battle. Certainly now back behind Keanu Leotard, one of the drivers looking very, very fast in qualifying. Could be potentially in contention to take the victory away from Larry Tilke. But it's now all for them two to fight it out as we get into the third sector. Will be Larry picking up that DRS. Keanu needs to defend against it.
Yeah, he certainly does. And of course, they are actually catching this pack of hard tyre runners. I mean, I was expecting them to be quite far behind, but they have made these new tyres work on this circuit. Do you reckon these hard tyres are going, what, 15 laps, 16 laps?
I don't know. I think this there's somebody in the chat saying it's not a two-stop, so this could be all the way to the end.
Oh, I mean, this is going to be don't go anywhere, folks. We're on lap 15 of 36. Do not go anywhere, as once again Larry takes what is provisional race lead as it stands, because everyone in front of Larry and Keanu hasn't pitted. Tiers Korsman, Marcel, all swapping positions down as well, this is basically the battle for the final podium spot as it stands. The interesting one here, the outlier, I've got to say, is Booba, who is on the medium tyres and is not pitted yet. Are they going longer with the hard tyres and then going to go from medium to hard and have a fresher set of hard tyres towards the end of the race?
Certainly looking like that will be the strategy for Balder as he pushes on the mediums, still within the DRS there of P9, so certainly the strategy is working out to perfection and will ultimately have that extra tyre life in the closing laps. Could be a driver to watch towards the final stints, as all the hard runners from P8 and upwards will need to extend these hards as best they can. They will need to box once again and swap that compound. Need to use 2 tyre compounds per race, as everybody knows, but if you're only just joining us for your first time in league racing or any sort of racing indeed, you must use 2 tyre compounds every race. You must switch it out, and this is where we talk about the strategies to come in. But there goes Boba into the pits. 15 laps, so it's gone 5-6 laps longer than some of the drivers that you see, and will have the extra tyre life on the hard tyres towards the closing stint.
We'll see how much that makes a difference. I'll be really interested to see where they can come up in terms of the grid further up. So our guys currently in P9 and P10 are your net race 1 and 2. If you do not understand what that exactly means, everyone in front of Keanu and Larry are yet to pit. We have a yellow flag in sector 1 there. I think it's just been cleared up. Gabriel Quinton unfortunately has a little bit of a spin. I don't know if that was a collision or not. I'm sure we'll find out later on. That's for the stewards to decide, not us humble commentators in the box. But yeah, so everyone above Keanu and Larry are yet to pit, which means, of course, when they do pit, Keanu and Larry will become P1 and P2. But they have caught the back of this pack, and I mean, oh, I don't know. They're gonna have to do some overtaking here. That's for sure.
Absolutely, they can either risk getting slowed down by this pack. I mean, it's not the bad choice to just sit behind everybody and allow them to pit later on. You can preserve those tyres certainly a lot better, as you will have to run the slower pace, but overtaking them will be huge. You'll be able to get that 20-second, 22-second advantage when they ultimately get into the pits. They will have to gain those 22 seconds back from stopping and slowing down in the pit lane. It's what it's all comes down to. We see Marcel there going for a late lunge. Was that Marcel? No, that was Keanu Leotard, sorry, on João Korsman going for that lunge and getting past. So, again, puts a car between himself and Larry Tulke. It's now for Larry to try and get past João Korsman.
Yeah, I think the last thing Larry wants is to be stuck behind cars that are yet to pit. Let's be honest.
Oh, there it is!
Oh, he's going to send it down the inside. It's a beautiful move, of course. Different tyres, but it's not really Yelt's race. These guys, as much as I'm sure the racer in them will say they want to fight, it is not their race, Corey. They need to let these guys get through and just let them run their own races now.
Absolutely. At this point, there's more of a hazard, but here comes Keanu Leotard once again to put another car separating himself and Larry. It's all for Keanu Leotard now to take these positions away, get ahead of these slower cars. Obviously, they burnt away those hard tyres, running 17 laps so far. Danielle dives into the pits. Who else has dived in there? João Korsman, there we go. So 2 drivers getting off those harder compound tyres. Rehad Sproggy still fighting it out in the lead with Kuba, trying to swap the DRS, but they were battling ever so slightly though. Currently on board with what will be Keanu Leotard, who's looking to set up for a turn 3 exit, open that rear wing and push on. A car separating himself and Larry Tulke once again. Lolo doing very well to stay ahead of Larry Tulke. Larry, there it is. Keanu Leotard sends it to the inside line and getting another position done and dusted. All playing out in Keanu Leotard's hands. So Larry Tulke, looking to get past a move that the driver did once before on a previous lap, does it once again on another driver. That hairpin is certainly the place for Larry to make the moves. He's getting it done fairly easily.
And then this is worse news for Larry right here. Almost a second separate Giovanni and Keanu. He needs to get this move done. Will he go for it in the stadium section? No one overtakes in the stadium section. Oh, and that is why it's such a dangerous place. I've seen one car do it successfully, and it ended in a tyre puncture.
Ooh, so a puncture, something you definitely don't need. That 1 second has been broken. So Larry now outside of the DRS of his current rival for race victory, tries to send it to the inside line of Giovanni. Giovanni surely can't defend this in any way. Does not have that tyre life to do so as Larry makes it past nice and easy. The DRS making it easy. You can see he goes later on the brakes and bridges a gap now between P6 and 7. Larry now needs to push on and try and regain that DRS, but Keanu Leotard has dispatched as another driver and looks to dispatch of one more. Sends it round the outside of Reyes Imtiaz and gets it very easily done, getting that inside line. Coming through turn 5. So it's very nicely done from Keanu up onto the podium. Now only 4 seconds separating Rehards and Cuba. It's looking mighty fine for Keanu Leotard. Larry having a struggle here as we get through into the second stint.
I'm just noticing from what Larry's setup is running. I don't know if they're running maybe a bit more downforce, because they really seem to be struggling down that main straight. They are not gaining as much time as Keanu Lundhard is down that back straight. So I wonder how much downforce they really are running on this car this afternoon. Of course, it's not a massively downforce heavy circuit, but that middle sector can catch you out if you're not running enough.
Absolutely, that rear end can just kick out from you. You want to try and be flat to the floor as you fire around the left-hander. You come around the left-hander with a bit of a lift and you absolutely flat it for the remainder of the corners. You need to. That's where the time is. But there we see Keanu Leotard potentially battling it away. Larry is within the DRS, so was caught back up to that fight. Keanu loses it to Reyes Imtiaz, but now needs to press on and try and drop that 4 seconds.
Well, that's interesting. Race jumping ahead of Keanu there.
Absolutely.
I mean, of course, DRS is very powerful, but I mean, I just didn't expect him to really battle it back, because again, it's not really his race, is it? He's not really battling for the lead here, like Keanu is. But I suppose each to their own. You can't stop him from doing it.
I wish we could see the teams, because this may be team orders. Is Reyes Imtiaz and Larry Tulke on the same team? Is this something that they're planning together, potentially trying to keep Keanu from pulling too far away from Larry?
Larry is in the Ferrari, and Jelk Korsman is his teammate. So no, it's not a team. It's not team orders. Riyad Sprogis is in the pits now. So one of our race leaders is in the pits. So he's going to go onto the medium tyres now. Well, here we go. Keanu going to go for it here. Daniel going to go for it as well. Is Daniel going to make a double overtake here on both Race and Keanu? No, just on Race. Is Larry going to send it down the inside? No, too far back. But this battling has let them catch up to the back of the grid. So do not count out Larry just yet. It's not game over for him. But he's got to make this move now, and he's going to go for it. He's got DRS. Race does not. He's going to have to send it down the inside, and Race backs out of that one smartly and almost gets broke test there by Larry. Not on purpose, I believe, but just because of where the braking points were. But Larry's still back in this one.
Absolutely. No needs to push on and try and catch up to Daniel then. Get past Daniel. Daniel has not pitted yet. So it's all for Larry to take, as Keanu now has dropped that 4 seconds to 2.6 and dropping. It is absolutely dropping like a stone now. Those hard tyres certainly do not have the life in them to go any more for Cuba, as we already saw Rehards go into the pits, get on those medium tyres. 15 laps on the mediums, it certainly is doable. We saw Boba do it himself, but no, Kuba dives into the pits and the race as well as Daniel. So the race order has been restored. You see Keanu Leotard now leading. There's no longer a net P1. That is P1. And Larry chasing behind, almost outside of the DRS, just barely able to get back in and close the gap up. But with having that DRS down the main straight, such a long straight, has dropped almost 4/10 of time and gets right back up close to Keanu Leotard.
I tell you, the undercut was successful. Rehard Sprockets ahead of Kuba there from the race lead, as Daniel has just come out of nowhere and has taken ahead of Kuba, as well as Yelp Korsman. Kuba has been absolutely taken apart there down that back straight, and has lost not only the position he was battling with Rehard Sprockets, but lost 3 other positions as well.
Absolutely unfortunate there, but did start on the hard tyres and push them as long as possible. Went 1 lap extra than Rehards, but has dropped 3 positions from the driver he was racing against. It's Rehards now who will benefit from the tyres. He will have the mediums. They will be the faster tyre until they start to burn away in around 8 to 9 laps time. It's all for Rehards now to try and push on. Only 1.8 seconds separates Rehards from the driver ahead, P11. And after that, it's a DRS train up to P8. So needs to benefit as best he can. Larry Tulke now taking the lead of the race once again. Your pole sitter is back out in front.
Certainly is. Now, of course, how many times have we said this in motorsport, Corey? Obviously, I'm sure smarter people than us have said it. But, obviously, catching in motorsport is one thing, passing is another. But there is such a massive catching, that needs to catch so much. I know they're on fresh medium tyres, but I don't really know how much of a tyre differential there is, to be honest with you.
Well, at this stage, there might not be a huge tyre well, for the mediums at this stage will be massive for Rehards, but closing 3-4 more laps, the tyres may not be what they are, and the harders maybe they want to be on. Maybe being able to cope with the temperatures in Mexico a little bit better. They operate at that higher temperature window, so the harder tyres certainly being the ones to be on and could last the entire distance. We saw a lot of drivers box very, very early. As you know, some drivers going in lap 8, lap 9, so certainly making the most, pushing on of this stint. It was the front 2 that boxed early, but now Larry Tulke will have to defend against Keanu. Or will he? Will he just make it tit for tat, swap DRS lap after lap? But who will benefit on the final lap with 3 DRS zones? 3 opportunities to get past your rival. It's all about the end game now. They need to set themselves up. Will I stay ahead coming onto the final lap? Will I concede coming onto the final lap and then get passed onto the second DRS zone, just defend into the third? It's all a huge game of chess for these drivers.
And Rehards is already on his charge. He's up in P10 now. And the 3 cars in front of him, Thomas Lammen and Thomas Boldrin, of course, the one that we should all be paying attention to, Mr. Sixten Linhart, up in 7th place. He does have a 3-second time penalty, but of course he is a championship rival. The closest one to Rehards. But then there's a 5-second gap between Linhart and Ryan Grob. That's still a decent gap to catch.
It is an absolutely huge gap to catch. Rehards needs to catch up, needs to try and gain extra points on his rival and just one up. Cannot afford for Sixten Linhart to get ahead and concede any points, because when you get to the final closing rounds, the points that you lost out in this round could make all the difference. It's all for Rehards now to push on those mediums. Went for the longer stint into the first opening stint of the race, so now onto the second stint. Medium tyres having the advantage now, but won't have it at the end. Has Sixten done enough to preserve those harder tyres and defend what could be an onslaught, a charging Rehards Sproggis?
Here he comes, here he comes. Is he going to go for 1? Is he going to go for 2? Is he going to go for 3? It's the turn 1. He's going to send it down the inside. And he's already made 1 move. He's ahead of Sixten Linhart. He couldn't make the second or the third, but he's in a prime position to climb up through the ranks now. Will he go for Thomas Laminen here into the breaking point? He's got the grip. Oh, as Thomas Laminen goes down the inside, but will Riehards find the gap? No, he won't. There's not a gap to be found, and they are being slowed down here. Riehards must be absolutely raging in that cockpit. He needs to get past them. The leaders are getting away, and the laps are slowly dripping away from him. And Linhart now in behind. Is Linhart going to think about a move here on Riehards Progress? Will he consider a dive down the inside, or will he think that that fight is over? But surely, if you've got a championship to fight for, just go for it whenever you want.
Absolutely, you need to take these risks, but as well, do it cleanly and safely. You need to risk it all, because Drivers' Champion does not come easy. Not when you've got such a gap to gain on now. 6 seconds from Thomas Boldra to Ryan Grob. So it's 6 seconds needed to gain if you want to get into a potential fight for victory. But here comes Riehards Progress picking up that DRS. It's Thomas Boldra who does not. He goes from one to the outside, dives it to the inside, makes it easy. Done. Threading the needle between two drivers there. And for Riehards Progress is ahead. No needs to push and drop those 6 seconds. But as you can see, it's now down into 5.9. So certainly trying to push on and do anything and everything that Riehards can to just close that deficit down, to get closer to the top 6 is what's needed. But Sigma 5 seconds away from the front 2. In total, we'll have to gain 10 seconds to get even close to race victory. It's a huge margin, but Sigma's picked up 3 seconds. Marcel is going to inherit that podium position there, unless Riehards can catch up.
Of course, Sigma already had 10 seconds as well, so that's now 13 seconds he's going to drop back when the end of the race comes. But yeah, 10 laps to go, 5.2 seconds to the top 6. But then, remember, there's another 5 seconds between Sigma and Lari. So that is basically 10 seconds that Riehards has to make up in 10 laps to win this Grand Prix, or at least get near the podium. That is a lot of time to make up.
Absolutely. The tyre advantage can only do so much for you. You see Marcel there get past Sigma nice and easy using that DRS. Ever easy. It's Tias Korsman now who needs to try and get past Sigma. Don't let him hold you back too much and push on for Marcel. If Marcel can take P3 ahead of Sigma, even if it went to the stewards and those penalties were removed, it will be on the track that Marcel has taken it. The penalties doing no favours for Sigma to keep the podium. For now, it's in Marcel's hands.
Of course, the only penalty that Sigma could get removed is that 10-second time penalty, so we'd still have a 3-second one. So right now, Marcel is in a prime position for that 3rd place, but Korsman, I'm sure, will have something to say about that. And Ryan Grob, who, let's not forget, was our earliest pit stopper onto the hard tyres. He's taken 19 laps now on the hards, and he's currently sitting in 6th, which is technically net P5 as it stands with Sigma's penalty.
Absolutely, net P5 for Ryan Grob. It's a good result for him, but can he get ever closer? He's certainly extending those hard tyres. The earliest pit stop you saw, you said 19 laps, will now be almost 20 laps when he finishes this one on the harder tyres. 20 laps completed already. They must be feeling a little bit grim, especially in that dirty air of the cars in front.
Yeah, they must not be feeling great. And in behind, Riehards Progress, 4.9 seconds, 4.7 seconds. The gap is coming down. But do you think Riehards is struggling because he does not have the DRS advantage, which means the guys in front are pulling away down the straights? And that is basically what this circuit is. It's a lot of straights. There is some really tricky braking zones and corners, which is where Riehards is gaining the time. But can he gain enough? The laps are dripping away here. We've only got, what, 7 laps to go? 8 laps to go?
Yeah, only 8 laps remaining. It's all for Riehards. It's 4 seconds to gain for that pack. Can he get closer? 8 laps on the mediums. I don't know if this is going to do it. Drivers got off those mediums very, very early. They must have been feeling absolutely disgusting. Sliding left and right, understeer left and right. Certainly is the only reason to get off them early. They just, certainly the mediums, for a lot of these drivers, haven't been the optimal tyre of choice in a lot of races. They just don't feel like they can get any sort of life out of them. The medium's certainly not being an optimal tyre. It's all for hards. Most races, you see, the hards are going quite a margin, quite the distance.
I mean, I wonder if that alternate strategy will come back to bite Riehards here. The good thing, I suppose, for Riehards is his main championship rival is out of the points as it stands with a time penalty.
Absolutely, it's looking very good to try and push a little bit further. But Larry hasn't scored any points apart from the qualifying session when he snatched that pole position. No, looking good for race victory. Could it be the points that he needs? Could it be the race victory that is needed to propel up in standings in any way and to get into any sort of fight in the closing few rounds? Of course, you haven't seen him score points yet, but Mexico certainly being one of the favoured tracks for Larry Tulke. Looking good for victory. Could be the first race victory here in PSGL. I haven't done it in any previous seasons if Larry Tulke's taken any wins, but here in F3, it's looking good for a victory here today.
Certainly is, and I mean, it'd be a feel-good victory, but I'm sure Keanu would also love to pick up a victory as well. We've had so many different winners this season, and I mean, we may be adding to another bracket. I think if either Keanu or Larry wins, they'll both be new winners on this year's grid. I will just double check that while you carry on.
Absolutely, another switcheroo here for the front two, just using that DRS to push that time a little bit more. It's 5.8 seconds now. So the front two certainly pulling away and just using that slingshot, as you so kindly said earlier, Alex, to get themselves ahead and pull away from P3. The deficit is not dropping. It is not just only getting a little bit bigger lap after lap. 6 laps to go, and Richard Sprogis is still 4 seconds behind. The medium tyres certainly burning away and not being able to push as hard as Richards would like. But again, not having that DRS, it's going to cost you a lot of time. The front, the pack that you're trying to catch will get that slipstream, will get that overspeed, and will just propel a lot quicker than you ever could. You pick up too much drag on that rear wing and you will not get your maximum top speed. It's just simple physics. But for Richard Sprogis, is now dropped 3:10, so maybe could hear me on the stream has gone, oh yeah, well I'm going to respond to that, and certainly pushes ahead. But in the sector 3, struggles and drops it to 4 seconds again. Locks up the rear there, coming on the entry of Stadium, but it's just not looking good for Richard. Again, scoring points that's needed. Championship leader is now just inside of the points, picking up P10, but needs to push a little bit harder to gain and not let Richards pull away too much. See a battle for P3 there.
And Sigma jumping to P3. I want to point out as well, so Larry and Keanu both yet to win this season. And this season we've already had 5 different race winners. So this will be a guaranteed 6 different race winner this year.
Oh, 6 different winners. You love to see that. You hate to see drivers just dominate. Gets a little boring. You like to see different drivers take the top spot. And of course, with different drivers taking the top spot, it just shows you how close in pace everybody is. Anybody can win a GP here in F3. Anybody can take that top spot. Having 6 different contenders taking a race victory is certainly history in the making. No dominant drivers here.
No, it certainly isn't. It's very close indeed. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. Richard Sprogis, I don't know if he's got enough, you know. I don't think there's enough in this medium tyres to help him catch up. Maybe Kuba's caught him up now. They can use DRS off each other, but I think it's a little bit too late.
It certainly is. 4 laps remaining. You'd have to get a second a lap to get anywhere close to that pack. And I just don't think it's doable. The medium tyres just don't have it in them here in Mexico City. They burn away so quickly. They only last about 8 laps. He's only done about 10 laps on those tyres. I will pull up the tyres so you can see what's happening. Yeah, 11 goes on to his 11th lap on the medium tyres. It's just not going to work out. Cuba gets past using that DRS, but has 1 lap fresher medium tyres. It's a fight between Cuba and Richards once again. You saw them battling it out as they extended on the hard tyres in the first stint. Now on the mediums, they fight once again in the closing laps.
Certainly do. And I mean, for our championship leader, Richard Sprogis currently sitting in 8th place. Obviously leading the championship on 52 points. The closest rival is Sixten Linhart on 45, but he is out of the points as it stands. And our next closest rival is Daniel, who's currently sitting just behind him. So, I mean, for Daniel, if he can get a piece past Richard here, that'll be, you know, a little bit of a gain on him. But, I mean, it has not been good on these medium tyres. I reckon 22-lap-old hards are quicker than the 10-lap-old mediums we're seeing right here. They are not very fast this afternoon.
Absolutely, you can tell that just by the deficit. The time between rehards and the hard runners around Grob and onwards was just not dropping. It sat there at 4 seconds, but it's Cuba now who's able to break that time down a little bit. 3.4 seconds now. Rehards just using that DRS to stay close, stay within Cuba's grasp. It's now almost going 3 wide down into turn 1. Here comes Daniel. Daniel going for that double overtake, gets it done to perfection, picks up the slipstream, the overspeed. Like I mentioned, the double overtake certainly being on with that pit straight being so long. The DRS, battery and slipstream all together is a huge dominant weapon to have down into turn 1, and for Daniel, pulls ahead into P7, knocking Rehards down, taking some points away the Rehards could need towards the end of the season, but it's so far the mediums just aren't the one to be on.
And they are. A couple of clouds coming over the circuit here towards the south, but I don't think they're going to threaten us at all with any rain. Not enough laps to worry about that. So Rehards now down into 8th place. Got to make sure they stay at least into the points. They do have that nice little cushion in the championship lead, but as you mentioned, any little points towards the end of the year could mean everything. Now, of course, don't go anywhere after this race. 3 laps to go, 2 laps to go when we cross the line, but we have interviews coming up for our top 3, and it looks like at the moment it'll be Larry, Keanu and Marcel. But which order will that come out in, especially for our 1 and 2, who have been swapping back and forwards this entire time? And if my calculations are correct, I believe that Keanu will be leading on the last lap and Lowry will be behind him.
Ooh, that could be a mighty wild prediction as we get into the final 2 laps. It's all to play for. The strategies now, they need to be smart. We could potentially see a little bit of DRS chicken. They have the 6 seconds to their advantage. So they could potentially run it a little bit slower, try and brake a little bit early and pick up that detection zone and use it to their advantage or use it for the defensive measure. But it's all for the front 2 to take. Larry Tulke looking to take victory as well as getting that pole position. You very rarely see a driver who sits on pole take victory unless it's Monaco. It's all about race pace. You could have the 1 lap pace in qualifying, but do you have the race pace to back that up? And for Larry Tulke, certainly does have the race pace. Has led quite a lot of the laps and is now battling it out with his rival Keanu Leotard as they come around to pick up the DRS once again and to get onto the penultimate lap.
We'll be going on to the penultimate lap, and that means Larry's going to be leading. Is Larry sticking behind? I think Larry knows they've got to stick behind it. They've got 100% ERS. Are they going to go for it? No, they're going to go for it into turn 1. Is that a mistake there, Corey? Because he's not going to have the DRS on the last lap.
He's not indeed certainly open to attack. Coming down that mighty long straight, it will be Keanu Leotard who will now use it and stay behind. He just needs to stay close enough. Can yet Larry Tulke pull away? Has he preserved those tyres enough? Will he have the traction? But Keanu Leotard staying right up to that rear diffuser of Larry Tulke. He's not going to drop any time as we get into Sector 2. Coming up to the S's. Things, you've got to play it careful now. These corners can catch you out dramatically. You're flat to the floor, sending it round left and right, left and right, left and right. It's what it's all about. You need to try and stay very close to your rival ahead. But for looking good for Keanu Leotard to take the victory away. Unless Larry Tulke, as you say, saved up 100% battery, will burn it all down that straight. Potentially use all the deployment available just to defend that onslaught, that massive straight down into turn 1. But here we go on to the final lap. Larry Tulke, Keanu Leotard, 2 drivers battling it out for their first victory of the season. Here comes Keanu Leotard, burning the battery, using the DRS, looking to get past, but Larry Tulke dives straight into that slipstream, trying to stay nice and close, setting up for the second DRS zone. Is it possible to be done? He will not have the DRS, I don't think. Will the rear wing open on Keanu Leotard as he pushes on now? Does get that rear wing open. Larry Tulke losing out massively as we get down into turn 4. It's all for Keanu for the taking. Can he propel it it? Can he defend it? Or will Larry Torkey pull off the move he's done many a time before into the hairpin? He's not close enough to pull it off this time. Keanu staying ahead as we come round into second sector and into the S's. It's beautifully done for Keanu Leotard. A masterclass drive and sat behind, let the position go on the penultimate lap so we could pick up that DRS on the last lap, but no, might need to defend against Larry Tulke. Larry Tulke having that last dose of DRS is still not close enough. It's all for Keanu Leotard to take.
I think that was a mistake from Larry. He'll regret that one because I think he's let that slip away. But the man who hasn't let it slip away is Keanu because he comes around the final corner now and he'll become our 6th different race winner this season. And he wins the Mexican Grand Prix in behind. Sigma will come across the line in 3rd place, but Marcel will inherit 3rd, followed by Ryan Grob, Daniel, and then T.S. Korsman. What happened to Rehard? What happened in that final thing? Because Rehard has fallen down to 9th place. What happened in behind as we were watching the battle for the lead?
Oh, we're just almost at a photo finish there across the line. 65,000, another one. Oh, wow. Drivers were really trying to send it side by side and get to the line before the other. That was a monumental finish. I tried to keep the camera angle over the line and we saw 3 cars trying to pick it up towards the final line, last corner and get past towards the line. But it was down for Keanu Leotard to take that race victory. Beautifully done, a masterclass drive. Larry Tulke, your pole sitter, just could not turn it into a victory. It was a big mistake, lunging to that outside line into turn 1 on the penultimate lap, sacrificing that DRS when it was much needed. But it is all for Keanu Leotard, sits on the top spot. Beautifully done.
Certainly does. 3rd on the grid, 1st on the podium. Laurie just missing out there, but does get their 1st podium of the season in what was a fantastic drive overall. Marcel in 3rd place, and then Ryan Grob, 4th place. What a drive that is for him. Probably my driver of the day. Daniel in 5th, and Tiers Korsman in 6th, followed by Thomas Baldwin, Kuba, Rehard Sproggs, and Thomas Lammen around out your top 10. And then we've got Sixten Linhart in 11th, Gabriel Quinton in 12th, Race in 13th, Sigma in 14th with time penalties, Yelp Korsman in 15th, Lola in 16th, Danielle in 17th, Zach Miles, Giovanni, and Boba round out your top 20.
That was a mighty fine race indeed. I shall bring where we shall now set up for the interviews and try and get the drivers in here for what we can have a word of. I certainly want to hear from Keanu Leotard. Certainly turned a P3, what looked like could only be a podium finish, into a race victory. And like you said, the 6th driver to win a Grand Prix this season in 8 rounds. That means there's only been 2 double winners this season. Everybody else has been on the top spot. It's for anybody's taking. This season is mighty close and mighty fine. No driver has been dominant. No driver can take the lead with so easily. But Rehards will keep P1 in drivers, if my calculations are correct, but did not get quite a lot of points. Not the point margin that he would like to get to jump ahead. But Sixton was outside of the points. Certainly no pressure there for Rehards as we move on into round 9 next week.
Yep, exactly. Now, unfortunately, 2 people were not available for interviews, Marcel and Keanu, but the man who is available for you is Larry Tolke.
Oh,
I think it's only fair that we bring them in. So we're going to jump them into the commentary box, and it is the man that started on pole in 2nd, but what a result it was in the end. 1st podium this season, 1st pole position of the year, and just missing out by a few hundredths of a second towards the end. And first of all, I want to say congratulations, what a drive it was. Talk us through that race, and also just tell us if we're saying your name wrong. Is it Larry or Larry? How do we say it? Is it Larry?
You can say it in both ways. It doesn't
Okay.
matter.
We're gonna go with Larry because that's the way I pronounce it in my brain. But Larry, yeah, congratulations, mate. I mean, obviously, we were just looking through the standings. Haven't scored a point yet this season. Then you put it on pole, and then you get 2nd place. I mean, I'm sure you would have loved the win, but talk us through that race. It looked epic from where we were watching.
I mean, yeah, the qualifying was surprise to me. I didn't thought I would be in top 10 even because if we look like my other races, I have been not good in qualifying, so yeah, it was surprise for me, and the race went pretty good, and yeah, I take the little bit gap in the first lap in over 1 second gap, but then Keanu close in me and then he overtake me at the one point, and when he decided to go into the box, I decided to follow him because it would be good strategy because you can actually work together in there. So yeah, and we create kind of big gap. So it was good race for us and for me as well.
Yeah, it certainly was, and I mean, it was a fantastic drive. Of course, I know you would probably wanted the win. Now, that last lap, of course, I'm sure, Corey, you want to discuss this because you were mentioning it on stream.
Absolutely. Maybe the last closing lap was a bit of a miscalculation from yourself, conceding that DRS, going for it on the penultimate lap, lap 35. You took the position away from Keanu Leotard. Just want to know, what was your thoughts on that? Was that a bit of a strategic mishap for you in a way? Or was it you was hoping to try and defend on the last lap and with the battery advantage try and burn it all and stay ahead?
Honestly, I would try to go away, but the tires were so done in the end, so it wasn't possible. But I was trying to make sure this place and to get in podium and get in points. So that's kind of matters for me. So
So more of a damage limitation. You got ahead, but as long as you kept it within a decent point margin, you're happy. Would you say?
yeah,
Lovely stuff. No, it was a beautiful race from yourself. I was slapping it on pole, the fastest man, the only driver in this session to put it into a 12.7. Everybody else just good enough for a point 0.8 or a point 0.9. But again, a mighty, amazing lap in qualifying, and it was well done. I want to hear that? So you say you wasn't expecting to even make the top 10 in qualifying, but Mexico certainly being one of your stronger tracks. Is this a track you're familiar with? You enjoy driving around here?
I mean, it's okay track. I don't hate it. So it's not the best, but I can drive it because other people struggle here. So
Lovely stuff. Well, again, mate, like I said, it was a beautiful race from yourself, and congratulations getting yourself on the podium. Much needed points, especially with you not scoring a point this season. You pick it up a point in qualifying, and you got a nice P2 finish. So well done from yourself, mate. Lovely stuff. And it was amazing to watch you battle it out in the closing laps with Keanu. That was a mighty fine spectacle. Every lap just swapping that DRS and setting yourselves up for the fight.
yeah, thank you for everything, and yeah,
Thank you,
uh,
Laurie. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
And
it's all.
oh, never
Oh,
mind, he's gone. He's gone.
never
Never
mind.
mind.
He's gone. Well, I think that was fantastic. I enjoyed it. But unfortunately, Corey, that brings the end of our time here together in F3. It's
Absolutely
been,
does. It has been a massive pleasure though to be working with you, Alex. It's been
I
lovely,
mean,
mate.
yeah, it's been fantastic. And of course, you join us for another fantastic Formula 3 race. I mean, we've had a banger in every race we've had this year, and I mean another race winner as well, our sixth different winner of the year. I mean, there's more to come. Now, of course, Corey will not be joining us next week unless something else happens, but I believe TK will be returning next week. But we appreciate Corey jumping in to not only run the stream but also commentate with myself. And just want to point out, of course, this is not the only PSGL action that is going on tonight. F2 and F4 are underway as we speak. So go join their stream, support them, support all the stuff that PSGL does. Bunch of Discords, Twitters, Instagrams, all that good stuff. Go look at all of them and get involved in the PSGL action. And Corey, mate, thank you very much for joining me today.
No worries. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here. It's been very exciting to see the F3. I've seen the F5, I've seen the F2. Now I see the F3. So these tiers certainly give it everything in every race that they do. The best of the best driving here in PSGL, and you love to see all the spicy action. And it's a pleasure for me to bring it to you to the screen, of course, running the streams, trying to get all the nice spicy camera angles and stuff, and to be a commentator as well. Really do enjoy being here and to watch these races. Such a spectacle, like you said. Another amazing race. 6 different winners in F3, and today I got to see another one that would take a different victory. So it's not a double winner, it's not even a triple winner, it's a new victor once again. 6 races, 6 different winners, and you love to see that.
You certainly do. And we're going to call that the end of the stream. So thank you very much for watching. and we'll see everyone next time, next week, same time, same place.